The return of Jess Chadwick, John Thompson, to Coronation Street has stirred up plenty of drama, not least because of his surprising romantic connection with Gail Platt, Hellenworth. Jesse, who met Gail during her recent travels in Thailand, reappeared in Weatherfield to continue their relationship, much to the surprise and suspicion of Gail's children Sarah, Tina O'Brien, and David Platt, Jack P. Shepherd. With the Platt siblings questioning Jesse's motives and their distrust complicating matters, tensions are running high, and this week's events left everyone emotionally on edge as Gail faced a health scare. As soon as Jesse stepped back onto the cobbles, Sarah and David made their skepticism clear. Their mother's choice to keep in touch with Jesse via email after her return struck them as out of character, and they began wondering if Jesse was truly interested in Gail or if he had an ulterior motive. Their suspicions intensified due to the disappearance of a significant sum of money intended for Bethany's, Lucy Fallon, medical bills, which had been given to them by Damon Hay, Siren Griffiths. Sarah quickly jumped to the conclusion that Jesse was responsible for the missing cash, unaware that the real culprit was none other than her brother David. In the latest episode, the situation took a dramatic turn as David's secret and the siblings' mistrust of Jesse began to strain Gail, who could only take so much pressure. When David, Sarah, and Shona, Julia Golding, expressed doubts about what Jesse truly saw in their mother, Gail's frustration and stress started to affect her health. After asking her children to leave, she soon found herself struggling to breathe. Fearing the worst, Jesse quickly dialed for an ambulance, and Gail was rushed to the hospital, with her family following anxiously behind. Once they reached the hospital, David and Sarah were informed that Gail would need an emergency stent procedure to improve blood flow to her heart. The shock and guilt were palpable, especially for David, who had been concealing the truth about Damon's money. As he grappled with the possibility that his mother's condition had been aggravated by his dishonesty, his anxiety only grew. Outside the hospital, Jesse took the opportunity to approach David, attempting to offer him support and gently hinting that David could confide in him. David, however, was far from ready to open up. In his emotionally heightened state, he responded defensively, pushing Jesse away and making it clear that he felt no connection to this man. For David, who is typically wary of outsiders, Jesse's attempt to bond came across as intrusive. Frustrated, David stood up and tersely informed Jesse that he didn't know him well enough to share his inner struggles. The tension between them was unmistakable, with David's reaction revealing both his guilt over Gail's condition and his deep-seated mistrust of Jesse. The confrontation between David and Jesse is particularly charged, given that only moments earlier, Jesse had stumbled upon the missing bag of money while searching for a bike pump in Gail's home. Putting two and two together, Jess began to suspect that David was the one who had taken Damon's cash, a realization that could drastically alter the Platt family dynamic if it comes to light. However, rather than confronting David directly about the money, Jesse seemed to use his discovery as an opening to probe into David's guilt. As the storyline unfolds, it's clear that Jess's presence has rattled the Platts, especially David. For years, the Platt family has endured countless trials and upheavals, with David consistently finding himself at the center of emotional and ethical conflicts. His defensiveness toward Jesse hints at deeper insecurities, particularly around Gail and the ongoing strain of his own secrets. David's insistence that he cannot trust Jesse enough to confide in him exposes just how far he feels from accepting this new person in his mother's life. Back in the hospital, Gail's operation looms over her family, further adding to the stress of the situation. Her children are left to confront the reality of her fragile health and their roles in contributing to her condition. For David, this means reconciling his actions with the impact they may have had on his mother, and whether he can come clean about the money before his guilt consumes him. Meanwhile, Sarah, still unaware of David's theft, continues to eye Jesse with suspicion, convinced he's hiding something. This ongoing storyline has drawn viewers into a tangled web of suspicion, guilt, and unresolved family tension, all set against the backdrop of Gail's health scare. Jesse's willingness to step in and support Gail, despite the Platts' hostility, adds complexity to his character.